Now at noon, it is Election Day in Wisconsin. Mask voters head to the polls despite the state's stay-at-home order because of COVID-19. We're also hearing today from parents in Washington after the governor announced in-person classes are canceled for the rest of the school year. Plus, that mom spent 2 weeks in the hospital infected with coronavirus. She recently got to go home to her family, but not without a big send-off.
This is KGW News at noon.
Wisconsin's primary election is underway, and it is unlike any other. Voters around the state wearing face masks are lining up at the polls. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Brenda Braxton. In just a minute, we will have more on Wisconsin's primary and why it's going on as planned. But first, we want to bring you the latest from the White House Coronavirus Task Force. Here's Tom Costello.
This morning, a new definition of our new normal.
If back to normal means acting like there never was a coronavirus problem, I don't think that's going to happen. If you want to get to pre-coronavirus, that might not ever happen in the sense of the fact that the threat is there.
As the nation faces a critical stretch in the battle against the coronavirus.
The next week and a half is going to be a big surge, the professionals tell us.
A new Inspector General watchdog report finds hospitals nationwide are facing shortages of critical medical gear. And many states are warning their hospitals will run out of personal protective equipment within days. Meanwhile, many small business owners are struggling to obtain loans promised under the $2 trillion relief package, as both technical glitches and sheer demand have overwhelmed the Small Business Administration. The president signaling the initial $350 billion earmarked for the plan may not be enough.
We're going to have to probably add more money to this to save and to keep our small businesses going and to keep the employees of those small businesses working.
Also overnight, South Carolina reversing course, now telling its 5 million residents to stay at home or work with few exceptions. Still, 8 states remain without a full stay-at-home order. Dr. Anthony Fauci says he spoke with the governors of 2 of those states, Iowa and Nebraska, and he believes they have an acceptable equivalent. The president says it will be left up to the states for now.
They are doing what we're asking them to do without having to put the seal on it. But I will say, if I thought it was necessary, I'll do it in a heartbeat.
As most of the country enters another week of sheltering at home and social distancing, Dr. Deborah Birx is calling on Americans to take care of each other.
I want everyone to take this seriously.
Meanwhile, the New York Times is reporting that in late January, senior White House trade advisor Peter Navarro warned about the coronavirus and the looming threat to the American public. Navarro wrote on January 29th, quote, "The lack of immune protection or an existing cure or vaccine would leave Americans defenseless in the case of a full-blown coronavirus outbreak on U.S. soil. This lack of protection elevates the risk of coronavirus evolving into a full-blown pandemic, imperiling the lives of millions of Americans." That was at about the same time the president was suggesting this was all a hoax. The next day, the president did begin the travel restrictions on China. I'm Tom Costello, NBC News. Back to you.
As I mentioned, right now, voting is underway in Wisconsin despite the state's stay-at-home order. People are lining up there at the polls. As you can see, many of them are wearing face masks. Officials are enforcing social distancing, and the National Guard is helping to monitor the situation. Wisconsin's governor signed an executive order yesterday to delay this election until June 9th. Hours later, though, the state Supreme Court overturned that, ruling the election could not be postponed. This afternoon, we are expecting an update on Washington's response to COVID-19. Governor Jay Inslee will brief the media at 1 o'clock. In the meantime, Washington has more than 8,300 confirmed cases and 383 people have died. That's according to Johns Hopkins University. Oregon reports 29 people have died. Some 21,000 people have been tested and about 1,100 are infected. That includes 3 Winco workers. The Oregonian reports 2 of them work in Tigard, 1 in Oregon City. Each employee has been off work and in self-quarantine for at least a week. Winco says the stores received deep cleanings after those workers went home. Congressional leaders and the White House are in talks about a new relief package. Now, this would be on top of the $2 trillion deal passed last month. Oregon Democratic Senator Jeff Merkley appeared on MSNBC this morning talking about what he hopes to see in this next deal.
I think there's a lot of agreement with the administration about additional direct payments, and I think that there will be other areas we can reach agreement, such as the blocking utility cutoffs and making sure that broadband remains available through this, additional support to the counties and states to be able to keep operating. And I'm hoping we can get some provisions in there for housing and for absentee ballots. But there's at least a foundation right now of cooperation to address this crisis between the administration and the House leadership.
Senator Merkley also said he's proud that many Oregonians are taking social distancing and the stay-at-home order seriously. Fred Meyer is the latest grocery store to limit the number of customers allowed inside at one time. The new limit is one customer per 120 square feet. The Portland Business Journal crunched the numbers, and here's what they mean in practical terms. For instance, the Hollywood Fred Meyer, which is a pretty big store, could accommodate 1,600 customers at a time. And the Stadium Fred Meyer downtown could hold 883 shoppers under these new guidelines. Well, Washington's Governor Inslee has canceled K-12 in-person classes for the rest of the school year. A lot of districts have already started distance learning, some online, others through packets sent home. Governor Inslee says seniors in good standing should get their diplomas this year. And he didn't rule out holding graduation ceremonies later, say in the fall or the summer. Well, that news is hitting Washington students very hard. Catherine Cook has more on how families are pulling together following the governor's announcement.
And it was just like kind of almost a hit in the face, like, shoot.
It was the news Washington families like the Wagners
I really miss actual school.
Had been bracing for. On Monday, Governor Jay Inslee announced K-12 schools would not resume in-person classes this school year because of the coronavirus. He said schools would continue with distance learning.
Distance learning could never replace the learning and other benefits that students get from attending school in person. But this unprecedented health emergency demands that we take this step.
The news comes as many districts started their virtual learning programs.
Like, we didn't even get to enjoy the first day of online school and then and have some hope.
Stephanie Wagner is doing her best to teach her daughter Gabriella. She's a fourth grader at Burnt Bridge Creek Elementary School in the Evergreen School District.
Math is technically probably the most important subject,
though art is her favorite.
This took at least an hour to finish.
As a parent, I worry about, not getting enough for my child for school education.
Yeah, it's a challenge.
KGW's own Devin Haskins lives in Clark County. His wife is tapping into her teaching background to find creative ways to bring the classroom home for their 3 kids.
We stay healthy so that way we can go to school and we can enjoy next year.
Kind of keep them engaged and keep their minds fresh.
Still.
And it just made me really sad to hear the news.
And what about the older kids?
It's really hard and not having school right now.
Jenna Carlson is a senior at Mountain View High School. She didn't realize her last day of school last month would really be her last.
And it's difficult to not see, I'm never going to see some people ever again.
As for academics, Governor Inslee says seniors like Jenna who are in good standing should receive their diplomas this year. Jenna says after the last month,
and so I feel like I forgot some of the stuff I was learning in school.
It's not this year she's worried about.
And then I go to college, I'm just going to get hit so hard. And I'm dang, I wish this didn't happen so I can learn better.
And we sprayed these colors on.
Back at the Wagner home, virtual class continues. A place where teacher...
Our hope is that this ends in a few months.
And student...
I hope this doesn't last forever.
...are on the same page. Governor Inslee left the possibility open for events like graduation ceremonies and even proms taking place later this calendar year. But at this point, no local school districts have committed to making that happen. Catherine Cook, KGW News.
So what about Oregon? No word yet if schools here will close for the rest of the year. We did reach out to the Oregon Department of Education, but we haven't heard back yet. Teachers across the state are expected to have distance learning plans in place by next Monday. And as of now, Oregon schools are set to open in 3 weeks on April 29th. Time to shift gears for a second, talk a little weather. Just a gorgeous start to your Tuesday. There's a live look down on the bricks from our Pioneer Square sky cam. Rod Hill is back from his 3-day weekend. He's forecasting from his home studio today. And Rod, you're heating things up.
Yeah, today really nice outside. In fact, I'm forecasting pretty much low 40s, low 60s. That's normal for this time of the year. Everybody's had some decent sun behind me. You know, you can't go to the coast, but if you live there, I'm sure you're enjoying it, and the rest of us will enjoy the view. That's Whale Cove Inn, just south of Depot Bay. And just as pretty out in the Willamette Valley wine country, here's Stoller Family Vineyards Estate, the live camera out there, 53 degrees. And let's see where downtown Portland is in PDX. Partly cloudy to mostly sunny skies. 52 degrees is the temperature. Wind direction is northwest at 8 miles per hour. So today just goes on to be partly to mostly sunny. We'll get up to about 62 for a high and still be at 58 degrees tonight. Now tonight, something special happens. Tonight will be the nearest to the Earth of the 3 super moons that we have this entire year. Skies should be fairly clear, and we'll talk more about the supermoon coming up, Brenda, in just a bit.
Sounds good.